Hi, Koji here, Celestial Rhythms. Today I want to teach you something about the aphelion and the perihelion the Earth has with the Sun. These are the 2 points where Earth is either farthest away or closest to our star. So this defines its orbit, really, the 2 extreme points. If you have these 2 points in a curve, then you have the direction of its major axis. So this is the major axis of Earth moving around the Sun, and that shifts every year a little bit. It's actually quite a chaotic movement. I just wrote something as it's approaching on just a couple days ago. I'm recording this here. It's the 2nd of July. On the 5th of July, exactly, this year, Earth will be farthest away from the Sun, and that is what I will cover in my next YouTube. This one here is a preparation for that, showing the power of these charts, how predictive they can be. So first of all, just quickly about the aphelion and the perihelion. So this is here from this website here. I guess I still have it open. Yep, that gives you all the mathematical exact calculation, the times. So it's, as you see here, it's every year it's slightly different day, different time. It's quite a chaotic moving point. So these are the dates here for the first decades of the 21st century. The closest where the Earth is to the Sun, that's always early January, and then about half a year later, early July. And as I say, this year it is at 22:27 universal time, and that is 2021 July the 5th, and we are getting to that. Not right now. Actually, what I want to focus in on is 2001. Because as you know, 2001 was a big year. That was precursing, I guess, probably the sharpest cut in history of changing everything, a radical shift that was. So we should see something of that sort here in this chart, and then it should show some alignments with that event chart too, which was just something like 10 weeks later. So let's start with this chart here, and what stands out here is the black moon and Uranus are conjunct. That is a sudden burst of shadow, you could call it. This is has a perfect sextile to Chiron and Arrokoth, which is another really interesting pair here. Arrokoth actually was pretty much dead on Chiron 10 weeks later on the 11th of September. Arrokoth, when you see the whole picture, and Chiron, pretty obvious, is the wound, the sacred wound, which then demands the process of healing. So I guess that in itself is a powerful alignment, showing again the nature of Arrokoth very clearly. So if we now look at these two pairs of energies, the black moon, Uranus, and Chiron and Arrokoth, the midpoint here is 2440 something. That is pretty exactly at the square point here of this global ascendant. The zero Capricorn moon is out of sign, opposing Jupiter, and also conjunct the south node here, which the south node conjunction is interesting. It's always kind of a sign that we have to deal with something which is greater about our past, about our roots, something we have to integrate. So I guess that was really, a big call. So the other interesting one naturally is Deucalion here, exactly at the ascendant. Deucalion is the same character as Noah in the Bible, who prepares for something which most people or nobody else actually sees yet. It's a very interesting to have this at the ascendant. It shows that there is some bigger plan here going, that whatever this year brings will be the preparation for something way bigger. This is a very, very interesting placement. And then naturally Neptune here at the 4th house cusp of this global chart for that moment when Earth was farthest away in July 2001. Well, I guess Neptune here, so strongly placed as central, shows that things are maybe not exactly what they appear to be. There are also a pair of really interesting minor planets here. I just looked this up here before. I was really curious as I'm talking about that. Did some little research. So this is where Neptune is 803 Aquarius, and there is OX3 and PJ32 Kuiper belt objects. You see PJ30 takes 1323 years to circle once the Sun, whereas OX3 182. So these are both newer planets which I do not have much insight about, but this would be interesting to know what astrologers come up with. And once we have more funds to go deeper into astrology in a serious way, then we can set up people who are assigned to do these researches with and getting something back for it, because naturally if you do work on something, you need some funding, you need to survive. That's why we see so little on that yet. We have about 400 at least newer planets which still have not been explored much because nobody has really the resources to do it. There's a number of astrologers who focus on the most prominent ones of these new additions. But again, there's still hundreds to be integrated and to be researched on, and this is just a little side note. Now, I want to show you something really interesting here. So this is the global chart, and here we have the vertex point in this global chart, which is kind of the higher dimensional descendant. Now I show you the same chart for New York. And what do we see here? 2513 in mid-heaven. I like this a lot. This really shows that this is a predictive chart, which is very exact in many ways. So it even shows here that degree, which will be the gateway to a greater, higher dimensional development. So again, this is actually surprising in many ways, and we will get into this chart in a minute, as it's really powerful tool showing a lot about this location. But let's first stay here with the global chart for a moment longer. Then naturally that was the year of the Saturn-Pluto opposition, and Saturn-Mars opposition here is also still latent. Then the other really big one I found was the Sun here conjunct Varuna opposing Nessus. Now let me explain. So Earth conjunct Nessus to start with here. Nessus is pathological behavior, and we are feeling it on planet Earth very strongly in this year, close conjunction 1 degree. And Varuna is, and I would now more see its twisted form, its righteousness, and I guess to justify something, you build a whole new philosophy to justify something. That's kind of where Varuna goes, at least on the lower levels. And interesting to the T-square here with TX 300, which is rude and kind of a rough energy. T-squaring here the Sun, the node, Earth. And also that it is close to a full moon, approaching full moon, shows that this will be an intense year as such. And again, I'm calling the whole year. I mean, really, in more exactly, it's a 6 month forecast, you should say. And then again, when Earth comes around at its closest to Earth, that is another reset point. So it's 2 reset points every year, as I showed you. I just want to go back to this quickly, to this picture, to show you. That is in January, Earth is closest at around 147 million kilometers away, 91 million miles. And in July, Earth is farthest away, 152 million, 94 million miles. So, what else did I see here? Right, the part of fortune here squaring to this big opposition. And from the 3rd to the 9th house, intercepted, interestingly enough, too, means that it's kind of it's an information war, you could call it. And there is some information which does not reach the general public. There's no house cusp going through here. It's kind of an inbreeding of something, a bubble, which I guess it took many years and still does to be fully burst. Then, okay, I showed you this one, the vertex bringing that point was in zenith in New York at this moment. Now show you something else, 2806. So we have this, that's where Jupiter is in Gemini here, actually the planet of highest degree. Yes, it is. No, Venus is even higher. Okay. Anyway, but let's just keep going here. Jupiter 2806, that's where you wouldn't believe the moon was on that day. On that day, you see the moon 2805, Gemini. And the Mars here on that day, on the 11th of September, was at 126 Capricorn. That's where the moon is in this perihelion chart. See? there's lots and lots of interesting stuff going on in this chart. So let's first go back to the basics here once more. And okay, yes, that was the other one. Yeah, that's now the one for New York. See, this is the midpoint, midnight, midday axis, and T-squaring is Black Moon and Uranus. Sudden, out of the dark, nobody saw it coming. In the 6th house, an attack on dislocations, health, and very yang, this point here. The most that square point to the plumb line. It's kind of the most yang point in the chart. This is now, as I say, for New York cast, that moment when Earth was farthest away from the Sun. Chaos and Solaris up here, T-squaring the ascendant. Chaos is an interesting one, and it's actually bringing back the original order. That's the final meaning of this new planet. However, in order to get there, first things have to be deconstructed. So this is also showing that, okay, some deconstructing forces will be at work here. Setting us on pace, really inflicting this wound, and just show you this, what I mentioned before, arrow code 2301, Chiron 2302, that is for that moment when the first plane hit the tower. That one was very jumping in the eye from the very first day when I did the chart, and this was telling that the trickster was at work there, and that things were not what they were appearing to be. It was almost like, if you look at it from a very holistic place, it was existence throwing us a big challenge in, a big riddle, a big enigma. Okay, here you go. Now get that. Let's see where that leads you. Is that enough, big enough to wake you up? Kind of. That's naturally the T-square here from Jupiter up high. Jupiter exactly, pretty much exactly with Varuna. And remember, that is also the degree where the Sun and Earth were on July the 4th. Let's just go back here once more. See, 12 degrees 38. Degrees 38. So the Moon Jupiter theme, let's go back to that for a second, because that's another trademark of that year 2001, that out of sign opposition, which means the Moon is already past the exact opposition point. This energy is in its release phase, and an opposition is kind of magnanimous. It's really enlarging Jupiter's energy a lot, making it very loud, boasting, kind of shouting, proclaiming, and with the Moon in Capricorn. This in itself, it's really not the best sign for the moon. It's the moon is restricted by Saturnian energy. It is that feeling of sadness and of depression which comes in often with the Capricorn moon. Life becomes a kind of work. It's difficult. It's emotionally straining. That all is possible. It does not have to be that way. But with that Jupiter here at opposition, and again, I mean, this is uncanny that the moon would be exactly pretty much dead on here when this whole thing would be going off. Just showing you once more for those who missed it. $28.05. Void, of course, by the way, was another immediate observation of mine when I did the chart right away, naturally, probably in the same evening I sat on my computer and did it. Void, of course, is always a phase of confusion, of general confusion, of not knowing what to do next and what the outcome will be. And very often these events are planned that way to catch everyone unguarded, by surprise, out, as I said, out of the dark. If we look at this chart just by itself for a sec, there's a few other interesting ones. There is the black moon here now, 2 degrees Pisces. And 106 is Ceres. Ceres is the bear's energy, which kind of is has a lot of power. You don't want to get in the way of a bear who's fierce, who's angry. So that's this power, and again showing that's in the first degrees of Pisces. And what have we there in the New York chart? First degrees of Pisces, that's the 7th house cusp. It's kind of, it took that long for this energy then to be coming into manifestation. If you look at this one again as a base chart for the year's evolution, if you want, so the black moon over these 6 weeks or 10 weeks moved from 24-30 to 1 degree and something, or 2 degrees and something. So here very strongly activated. Also, this is one thing I wanted to say about Venus. Yes, Venus is the planet of highest degree here in this chart, and T-squaring New York's ascendant, descendant, up in the 10th house. What I see here is the outpouring of love, help, goodwill, of people going the extra mile to support one another in these very, very difficult times, which these were, as we certainly all strongly remember. Palace is interesting here too, and let me just go back to the global chart here to see where Palace stands here. Palace is okay. Where are you? Where are you hiding? Yeah, sometimes it's too many things in these charts, I know. So 2757 Scorpio. In a square, definitely here with the black moon and Uranus and Aphelion. Aphelion is a very interesting centaur. it's kind of a gravitational center. That's what I often see perihelion as. It's wherever it appears that theme is standing out. It's putting a limelight on something. It's named after that centaur who was, I guess, he represents a mountain, the energy of a mountain. It's that heaviness and that groundedness. Something. Yes, here I am. And so why do I mention Pallas? Because Pallas is the intelligence which on one hand was employed, I would say, to stage that whole thing. On the other side, and that is definitely showing here with this black moon square, some very dark planning and agenda is going on here. Also, Astrea always shows up when there's trouble, there's something to be dealt with, cleaned up. So Perihelion here really is enlarging this whole group of planets. And Venus and Pallas here. I mean, there's so much going on if we go into the detail of this chart. But I guess you get the grit of it. This is a powerful method, and we can apply it pretty much each time we are at a new juncture. And I guess I leave it for that, and then we'll go in my next video into our actual upcoming Earth at the farthest place from our Sun on July the 5th. Okay, thanks for watching.